Hi and welcome to Prealgebra. Today we're doing square roots. Page 477, examples 1 to 40. Have fun.
We're on 477, Matt. It says to find each square root, write the problem down and then give the answer. So the square root of 25, no calculator. What number times itself makes 25? 5. Number 3, the square root of 1. Ryan?
Hold on.
What number times itself makes 1? 1. Number 5, the negative square root of 900. Well, if you stop and think for a minute, you don't need your calculator on this. Do you know the square root of 9? You know the square root of 100. If you just times them together, you got it. So what's the square root of 900? Olivia? What's the square root of 9?
3.
What's the square root of 100?
10.
What's 3 times 10?
30.
And it's negative, so you put negative 30. You can enter it into your calculator too, if you're not sure, but see if you can do them without the calculator. Number 7. You have a fraction, write it down, it's 9, the square root of 9 over 64. If you have to take the square root of a fraction, take each part and take its individual square root.
Okay,
So Emma, oh I'm sorry, Robbie, the square root of 9 is
3.
3
And over 8.
over 8. And if you needed to simplify, you would. But this is in lowest terms. Good. Number 9. You have the negative square root of 0.49. Now without a calculator, Emma, what's the square root of 49? 7. Now, you need a decimal point, so you get 0.49 when you times 7 by itself. So where should the decimal point be?
0.07.
Now be careful, 0.07 would give us how many places after the decimal point? 4 of them. That's too much. Where should the decimal point be? Not 0.07, what? 0.7. So when you times it, you'll have 2 places after the decimal point. And you could check it over here. You can put in 0.49 and hit the radical sign. And it comes out 0.7. And it has to be negative. Number 11. What do we do here, Caroline?
Use the table on page 480 or use a calculator. Approximately square root to the nearest thousand.
So number 11 is the negative square root of 89. Kyle, Caroline, enter in 89 in your calculator and round it to the nearest thousands.
It's 9.43. A negative 9.43.
Negative 9.43 to the thousands would be this place. What are you going to put there?
3.
It will look at the number after 3. It's a 9.
Oh, 4.
You have to round up. So it's negative 9.434. Number 13, the square root of 140 to the nearest thousands. Enter it into your calculator. Hit the square root key. What's the answer going to be, Kyle?
11.832.
To the nearest thousands, that's correct. For 15 through 22, what do we do there, Marissa?
Find the exact square root if possible. Otherwise, approximate the square root to the nearest thousand.
Okay, so if it's a perfect square, that's what they mean by exact. The square root of 400 is a perfect square. What is it? Without a calculator. Pardon me? It is 20. 20 times 20 is 400. 17. Emma, the square root of, without a calculator, don't use it, of 0.04. Do you know the square root of 4 is what? 2. So where would you put the decimal point so that when you do times it, you end up with 2 places after the decimal point? Of 0.2. Very good. And you could check it if you weren't sure. 19. Negative square root of 33. Is that a perfect square, Julie? 33? We just, no, this was not one of the ones we listed from 1 to 100. So enter 33 over here, or in your calculator, and what is the negative square root of 33 to the nearest thousands?
5.74.
Well, it's a negative. 5.74, you're only in thousands.
744.
You gotta use the number after 4 to decide what to do with that 4, that second 4.
Oh, it's 7.745.
Right. Number 21, the square root of 1.44. Without a calculator, Willow, 144 is a perfect square. What is the square root of 144? We memorized it. Anyone?
12.
It's 12. Isn't 12 times 12 144? Okay. So where do I put the decimal point in that 12 so that when I times it by itself, I get 1.44? Where does it need to go? Very good. Number 23 through 28, what do you do there? Zoe?
Find each answer, if necessary, round to the nearest thousand.
Okay, so 23, copy the problem down. 30, the square root of 36 plus the square root of 64. So that means you have to find the square root of 36, which is 6. Add it to the square root of 84, which is?
Or 64.
64, I'm sorry.
8.
8, and that makes what number?
14.
14. 25. You have the square root of the sum of 24 and 25. What should you do first? Maggie?
Find the square root of 24, which is...
No, you can't separate square roots addition of numbers under the radical sign. That's not possible. So the only thing you could do is to take 24 and do what with 25?
Add.
What do you get when you add those two?
49.
Now we can take the square root of that, which is
7.
7. 20, what is that, 7?
Yeah.
Yeah, 27. The square root of 9 times the square root of 16. Thomas?
It would be 3 times 4.
Good, which is
12.
12. 29. Find 3 perfect squares that come between 200 and 300. Elizabeth?
200.
And 300. Anyone, do you have an idea how we can find those? Well, let's take the square root of 200 and see what we get. Put it in over here.
It's 14.
Point something, something, something. All right, perfect squares are whole numbers. So what's the first perfect whole number after 14? 0.14, whatever it is. What's the first whole number after that? 15. All right, let's square 15 and see what perfect square that is. Square it. You do have a square. What's 15 times 15? What is it?
225.
Well, that's between 200 and 300, isn't it? So that's the first one. Well, if 15 works, then what should be the next number that works when I square it? All right, let's put in 16 and square that. What perfect square is that?
250.
That's still between those two. All right, so 16 worked. The next one would have to probably be 17. And square that, that's still less than 300, isn't it? And after that, it would work, would it? 18 would be too big, because we only got 11 left there. So there they are. Number 31. The symbol of the radical sign is read the square root of, because evaluating the square root of x gives you the length of the side of the square with an area of x. So 31, suppose that you know that the area of the square is 196 meters squared. How would you find the length of one side? John? You've got to remember what area of a square is. It's the same number times itself, isn't it? Because the sides are always equal. So all you'd have to do is put 196 into your calculator and do what? Define the length of one side.
Times it by 2.
No, not times it by 2. Take its what? You're looking for what number times itself makes 196. So how did we do that? We've been doing it all along here. Take its,
Divide it.
take its what? What's this section called?
Square root.
Take its square root. Because isn't square root finding what number times itself makes that? So if you hit the square root, what's the length of one side?
14.
14. So a side equals 14, because 14 times 14 makes the area 196. Now how do you find the perimeter of a square?
Times
You take, how many sides are 14?
4.
So you take 4 times the length of one side. So take 14 times it by 4, because each side is 14. What do you get for the perimeter?
56.
56, and I believe it's meters. So there's your perimeter. If you're given a square, take its square root to find, you're giving the area of the square to find one side, and then you can get your perimeter by times it by 4. Okay, 33 through 40, we're going to do mental math. And these are perfect squares, most of them. I'm going to show what you're doing in your head. So Nicole. That says 5 times the square root of 121. What's the square root of 121? Perfect square. So 5 times 11 is,
55.
and she did that in her head. This is her head. This was her work that she did in her head. You don't have to show work, do you? No, because you're doing it in your head. Number 35, 0.1 times the square root of 36. William, I take the square root of 36, which is what?
6.
Times it by 0.1. And
6.
yeah, 0.6. 37, 1/2 of the square root of 25. Olivia, what's the square root of 25?
5.
What's half of 5?
2.5.
2.5 or 2.5? And 39. Let's do this in your head. Chaz, square root of 81 is what?
9.
9 plus 1 is what?
10.
10. Now, the square root of 144 is what?
12.
And the square root of 4 is what?
2.
12 minus 2 is what?
8.
12 minus 2.
10.
And 10 times 10 is?
100.
There you go. Okay, you can stop that. I'm going to hand out the quiz.